Hello, man of word, we truly appreciate that you joined us. We are glad that we can support you in your further development. Today's topic is about 5 lessons that everyone should learn from the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, written by Mark Manson. So, let's begin. Welcome to amanofword.com, the most refreshing network in the business world. Why should you pay attention to this? 1. You will learn that being positive all the time is not what you should do. 2. You will learn that knowing your limitations is the key to progress. And 3. You will learn that you focus on too many things. Once we embrace our uncertainties, fears, faults, once we stop avoiding our fears and start facing unpleasant truths, we can begin to find the strength, determination, responsibility to accomplish our goals. Fuck positivity, Mark Manson says. Let's be honest, shit is fucked, and we have to live with it. Be positive all the time is a disease that infected the world. In this brief video, it's a remedy to it. Lesson 1, focus on what matters. In this book is written, not giving a fuck does not mean being indifferent. It means being comfortable with being different. To not give a fuck is to stare down life's most terrifying and difficult challenges and still take action. Everyone in their TV commercial wants you to believe that the key to a good life is a nicer job, or a more rugged car, or a prettier girlfriend, or a hot tub with an inflatable pool for the kids. The world is constantly telling you that the path to a better life is more, buy more, own more, make more, be more. You are constantly bombarded with messages to give a fuck about everything, all the time. The key to a good life is not giving a fuck about more, it's giving a fuck about less, giving a fuck about only what is true and immediate and important. Wanting positive experience is a negative experience, accepting negative experience as a positive experience. The things that make the difference are the ones that we don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about your opinion, I don't give up about your criticism, I give a fuck about my targets, I give a fuck about the way I want to live. In other words, we have to focus only on the things that matter. Lesson 2, happiness is always under construction. In the book is written that there is a premise that underlies a lot of our assumptions and beliefs. The premise is that happiness is algorithmic, that it can be worked for and earned and achieved as if it were getting accepted to law school or building a really complicated Lego set. If I achieve X, then I can be happy. If I look like Y, then I can be happy. If I can be with a person like Z, then I can be happy. This premise, though, is the problem. Happiness is not a solvable equation. Dissatisfaction and unease are inherent parts of human nature and, as we'll see, necessary components to creating consistent happiness. Why do we suffer? We suffer for the simple reason that suffering is biologically useful. It is nature's preferred agent for inspiring change. We have evolved to always live with a certain degree of dissatisfaction and insecurity because it's the mildly dissatisfied and insecure creature that's going to do the most work to innovate and survive. We are wired to become dissatisfied with whatever we have and satisfied by only what we do not have. This constant dissatisfaction has kept our species fighting and striving, building, and conquering. So, no, our own pain and misery aren't a bug of human evolution, they're a feature. To be happy we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. It's an activity, not something that is passively bestowed upon you, not something that you magically discover in a top 10 article on the Huffington Post or from any specific guru or teacher. It doesn't magically appear when you finally make enough money to add on that extra room to the house. You don't find it waiting for you in a place, an idea, a job, or even a book, for that matter. What determines your success isn't, what do you want to enjoy? The relevant question is, what pain do you want to sustain? The path to happiness is a path full of shit heaps and shame. This is not about willpower or grit. This is not another admonishment of no pain, no gain. This is the most simple and basic component of life. Our struggles determine our successes. Our problems birth our happiness, along with slightly better, slightly upgraded problems. See, it's a never-ending upward spiral. And if you think at any point you're allowed to stop climbing, I'm afraid you're missing the point. Because the joy is in the climb itself. Lesson 3, you are always choosing. In the book is written, often the only difference between a problem being painful or being powerful is a sense that we chose it, and that we are responsible for it. If you're miserable in your current situation, chances are it's because you feel like some part of it is outside your control, that there's a problem you cannot solve, a problem that was somehow thrust upon you without your choosing. When we feel that we're choosing our problems, we feel empowered. When we feel that our problems are being forced upon us against our will, we feel victimized and miserable. There is a simple realization from which all personal improvement and growth emerge. This is the realization that we, individually, are responsible for everything in our lives, no matter the external circumstances. Whether we consciously recognize it or not, we are always responsible for our experiences. It's impossible not to be. Choosing to not consciously interpret events in our lives is still an interpretation of the events of our lives. Whether we like it or not, we are always taking an active role in what's occurring to and within us. We are always interpreting the meaning of every moment and every occurrence. We are always choosing the values by which we live and the metrics by which we measure everything that happens to us. Often the same event can be good or bad, depending on the metric we choose to use. Lesson 4: Failure is a need. In the book is written, avoiding failure is something we learn at some later point in life. I'm sure a lot of it comes from our education system, which judges rigorously based on performance and punishes those who don't do well. Another large share of it comes from overbearing or critical parents who don't let their kids screw up on their own often enough, and instead punish them for trying anything new or not preordained. And then we have all the mass media that constantly expose us to stellar success after success, while not showing us the thousands of hours of dull practice and tedium that were required to achieve that success. At some point, most of us reach a place where we're afraid to fail, where we instinctively avoid failure and stick only to what is placed in front of us or only what we're already good at. This confines us and stifles us. We can be truly successful only at something we're willing to fail at. If we're unwilling to fail, then we're unwilling to succeed. Life is about not knowing and then doing something anyway. All of life is like this. It never changes. Lesson 5: Why do you have to say no? Freedom grants the opportunity for greater meaning, but by itself, there is nothing necessarily meaningful about it. Ultimately, the only way to achieve meaning and a sense of importance in one's life is through a rejection of alternatives, a narrowing of freedom, a choice of commitment to one place, one belief, or, one person. The avoidance of rejection, both giving and receiving it, is often sold to us as a way to make ourselves feel better. But avoiding rejection gives us short-term pleasure by making us rudderless and directionless in the long term. To truly appreciate something, you must confine yourself to it. There's a certain level of joy and meaning that you reach in life only when you've spent decades investing in a single relationship, a single craft, a single career. And you cannot achieve those decades of investment without rejecting the alternatives. The point is this: we all must give a fuck about something, to value something. And to value something, we must reject what is not that something. To value X, we must reject non-X. What are the best things to remember from this? 1. Happiness is always under construction. 2. Be aware of your choices. And 3. Say no. When you have to say no. Well, our list ends here. Let us know in the comment section what are your thoughts about our list. Thank you for watching until the end, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell button to be notified for every new learning opportunity. And always remember, man of word, be aware of the person that you can become.